What up, what up, what up? Hello. Good morrow.
Hello. Hey,
Salute.
What's good?
What's good? What's going on, man? How are you doing? Happy long weekend.
Fabulous. How about you?
I'm good. Feeling good. Glad to be back up here with you.
Yes, sir.
Celebrate the Queen's birthday on Monday. Pip, pip.
I specifically, just for you, I asked a British person. I said, so my Canadian friend celebrated the Queen on Monday. That's your Queen. That would be you, the British people, your Queen. And I have a question for you. Do you celebrate the Queen? Was it a celebration of the Queen across the pond in England? And he said, I have no idea what you're talking about. I said, me neither. And that was the end of the conversation.
Yeah, so I'll be honest with you. It is Victoria Day. It's a May 2-4 long weekend is generally when it happens. But there's not much actually celebrating the Queen here. It is an excuse for fireworks and a long weekend.
I was going to say, sounds like an excuse to get drunk.
It is. It is. Yeah. Most people actually refer to it as the May 2-4 long weekend, as in like a 2-4 of beer.
See, I get you Canadians. I know.
We're simple folks.
Secret. Yeah.
We drink our Coors Light and our, ride our moose, dig our igloos.
Indeed.
Doesn't take much. No, but it is a good long weekend. A lot of people here, it's like kind of the start of summer, really, right? Like they go up to their cottages, get their boats on the water or whatever. Just like
that's what you guys are doing. You're trying to imitate Memorial Day. Now it all makes sense.
Yeah,
we have
probably
something called Memorial Day coming up this week.
Yeah,
that is the official start of summer here in the lower 48.
Like most of our holidays and everything, we do imitate yours. We just do it a little bit earlier. Thanksgiving is one that comes to mind as well.
And do you know why you do it a little earlier?
You know what? I actually don't.
I'll tell you. Because you guys live in the frozen tundra. Therefore, seasons come slightly earlier. Gets a little colder. You got to get your harvest in before we do. That's why your Thanksgiving is earlier. And Boxing Day, I can't explain, but the English also agree with you on that one. So 2 against 1.
Yeah, Boxing. What's wrong? Okay, wait, that's interesting. So you don't have Boxing Day. So what is December 26th? Nothing.
Not the day after Christmas.
Yeah, well, I can fucking get that.
That's what it is. It's just the day.
It's not a holiday Christmas for you.
Morning. Well, most people usually do not have work the day after Christmas, but it's not a bank holiday. Things are technically open the day after Christmas.
Interesting. Okay. I did not know that. Yeah. See, here, almost everything's closed on Christmas, except for Tim Hortons, of course. Boxing Day, most things will be closed. Restaurants and stuff will sometimes opt to be open.
Depending on who you work for, it's better if Christmas is later in the week, because if Christmas falls on, say, a Wednesday, you're much more likely to get just take the whole week off, versus if it's on a Monday, you may get asked to come back in on Tuesday or Wednesday of that week. So
yeah, Wednesdays are always great for that too. Yeah,
for the holiday,
sure.
Yeah. Forces their hand. We can't ask them back.
Christmas, almost halfway. 5 months. Yeah, I was gonna say almost halfway to Christmas now.
Half Christmas is a fun.
Oh, we are halfway.
You ever do half Christmas? No, half Christmas is in June.
Right. Yes, that's right. Yeah.
June 12th.
Nice. Here for the Christmas Alpha GM guys.
Yeah. No, I mean, OpenSea volume is as low as we've seen. If you guys remember NFT NYC of last year, OpenSea volume is very similar to that. Though, I mean, hell, a lot of bright spot, a lot of shit to trade out there. NFT traders are not looking at the market and going, oh, it's so bearish, we can't buy, everything's bad, there's no liquidity. They're looking at Goblin's WTF and saying, those, I'm buying those. And they are. And then they're spawning multiple derivatives off of it. And even the apes, you know, we're still on that OK Bear train. We got the ducks yesterday, the OK Duck. I mean,
everywhere.
This is good. First of all, you got half of the NFT market participating, having a good time, seeing these cooks, all over it. And then you got the other half, NFTs. Oh, this is the state of our market. This is the junk. Shut the fuck up. First of all, this is a very good sign that
I agree. I hate when people are like, you guys are ruining it.
What are you fucking
That's a Bitcoin maxi thing.
It's ridiculous.
Every other cryptocurrency, you're ruining it. You're killing Bitcoin.
Like if I ever hear the word rug again, I just want to smack people. You know, the rugs are not the issue. Okay. A rug is such a stupid term for something because there are many projects that start off 100% legitimate and then turn into rugs for one reason. Who knows? There's a million reasons it could happen. And there are projects that may have started as rugs and turn into large, flourishing, profitable communities. People are out there virtue signaling this, and it's all because they're just angry they couldn't pick the right JPEGs last cycle. And now I have no liquidity to participate. Shut the fuck up. Try to learn something and get ready for the next cycle because it's always coming. Start the fucking show.
GMD. Well, that's a hell of a way to go in there. May 25th, it is episode 128 of the AM Morning Show. After a long weekend, we are back on the stage. I am your host, R2DGen. I am joined with me by Kevin in the bottom left corner, and of course, every single morning, Free Market Capitalist.
They are opening the largest NFT gallery in the world in Las Vegas, and the owner promised to have Kevin on the largest and most prominent display in the place. I think he was being tongue-in-cheek, but no, please, sir, if you are listening, do it. This is not, we will travel to Vegas to see this. Do it.
I mean, I'll travel to Vegas anyways.
Kevin is a boo.
I will stop by.
Kevin is our boo, yes.
Hell yeah. Yeah. As Free Market was saying in the pre-show, OpenSea volumes are definitely down. They are as low as they have been in quite some time. But there is still life in the market. A lot of these shit degen plays that are going on, free mints, whatever, they're turning into cooks. Pretty good sign, actually. That was one of the good indicators that we were coming out of it last time around November. These things started to pop up, and then you started to get the cheap mints going on. Of course, we had Alien Friends, the Lemon Friends, Cool Man's Universe kind of kicked it off, and it really kind of just led into what was an incredible time for NFTs. The market...
Talk about responding to market pressures. We went from 0.2 mints to 0.
Well, and you know, if you've been following along on this show throughout all of those times and watching those mints go from 0.1, 0.15, 0.2, 0.3, 0.5, and we're not talking about the super hyped, legitimate like Azuki Dutch auction or the CloneX 3 ETH or things like that, where they kind of command a certain respect in terms of the mint price. But we're just talking about even just the shitty derivatives, those 3D profile pictures that were like just being spammed everywhere, the goats, the giraffes, the gorillas, the monkeys, the lions, all of those that were like the same thing, just copied over and over. They were pushing the limits of how high those mint prices were. Everybody else was following suit with it too. We saw some absolutely ridiculous amounts of money being raised for projects didn't deserve it.
Somebody listening to the show explain what just happened? I was obviously distracted by our pre-show amble. And why did ETH just spike $50 and then retrace all of it? What did somebody say? That was very interesting. That was fun. Is it just was it just spoos? Okay, see, this is what happens when I take my eye off the ball. And this is my contention. I know everyone has main character syndrome, but I am completely convinced that if I sit there and watch the market, nothing good happens. The moment I have to go do something else, all this shit starts to go. ETH just pops 50 and it's retracing. So obviously whatever was said wasn't that important because it's giving it all back. But what the fuck was that? I mean, hey, good times.
Well, on that note, let's pull up the markets and dig into them a little bit. Right now, we have Bitcoin sitting at $29,250, down 4% on the 24-hour.
$23,000 overvalued. Go ahead.
There you go. Ethereum sitting at $1,966, down 5% on the 24-hour. But of course, that will change pretty rapidly as the fluctuations have been pretty tight in that range, just like a good plus minus 2.5%, and you're getting those swings. So we could look back at the end of the show and it'll say it's up 2%, but still be at the same price.
This type of market, we've been doing this show for a while, okay? And before the bear market that we find ourselves in, when you were in a trend, you could bet on the trend. It went for a while, sometimes or whatever it is. Lately, we will say, oh, the market's doing this at the beginning of the show. And by the end of the show, it's either reversed up or down massively in either direction. This is the state of the market. And we are in that incredibly difficult chop phase of the bear. This is the will they or won't they. We have now been going sideways for weeks.
Yeah, if you look at this 2 weeks, you get right at the beginning, you get that steep drop down that we all remember. Don't worry. And then look, I mean, we are range bound in here for 2 solid weeks.
But that's not
we're back. Oh, we're dead. Oh, we're back. Oh, we're dead.
Because that's not a small range. That it looks small if you zoom a chart up. That's not a small range. That has fooled both sides 6 or 7 times. Okay,
2150 down to about 1900 is the bottom tier of it. Yeah.
What we call that in traditional markets is coiling. This thing is fucking coiling for a move. It's a spring, okay? And pick whatever side you think it's gonna go. We have very few left on the up side. Most people believe it's gonna go down, but hey, can't fight. They've been very right for 2 months, so don't get cocky either way. But this is the phase we're in. It's this sideways consolidation. It's very difficult on both sides to know what's happening, but we are coiling. And today we have a very big event happening with the Fed minutes being released. This wouldn't normally be such a huge event, except that markets are 100% driven by the Fed right now. There's an old saying, you don't fight the Fed. And that is true on the way up. And it is also true on the way down. The Fed will give you very specific signals as to whether they want risk assets to go up or risk assets to go down. Now, they have been signaling for months that they do not want risk assets, nor are they concerned with their price going up. They are concerned with inflation and controlling an overheating economy and a tightening labor market. We today are looking for signs in the Fed minutes of dovishness. In other words, last Friday, one of the Fed presidents, Bullard, came out and said it is a possibility that we could lower rates in 2023 and or 2024 once prices abate. Now, that is dovish because for months we've only heard tightening, danger, fear. And when you're talking about interpreting what the Fed is doing, it's a language game. It's a communication game because they're playing poker.
And they're deliberate with their language, right? Like
you have to be deliberate. Here's the thing. There is an art in being as deliberate as possible with saying as little as this is almost what an NFT project goes through with their roadmap. You don't want to commit too much to something that pigeonholes you to a point where you can't adapt to live conditions. At the same time, you can't always look like you're flip-flopping and waffling based on whatever happened that day or that week in the market. So you're walking a fine line of confidence and being deliberate with at the same time the ability to adjust to things that is happening. So this is what the Fed is doing. And as market players, macro guys, their job is to kind of read between the lines and figure out what the Fed is trying to say without saying it. Now, Bullard comes out on Friday with the first dovish statement we've gotten out of the Fed in months, but it was a weird one because if you really thought, okay, we're at a point where now we need to think about lowering rates at some point in the future, okay, but why think about lowering rates in the future instead of just not raising them now, right? Isn't that more logical? Like, let's just not raise them now than the future. So it was a weird statement. It was him trying to thread the needle of, well, we've committed to doing this, but I need to say something dovish.
Did you?
Now,
yeah, I think it just got rounded.
No,
okay, keep going. You're good.
No, now Bullard is what I believe he was doing on Friday was hinting to market players that more dovish language is about to come out of the Fed. And while that was a weird way to put it, I do think we're going to hear a continuation of this dovishness today. Now, the beginning of the statement will be more of the same. They will be talking about how bad it's been. People are, it will be, they have to start with, well, we acknowledge things are bad. We're not hopped up on hopium. We don't blah, 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 blah. That said, then they're going to say something dovish. If this does come true, I do expect markets, crypto, stocks, everything to have a crazy relief rally. As we know, we've been talking about a sentiment reset for weeks. And that's the danger with only looking at sentiment. Had you just looked at sentiment, you would have thought we bottomed 4 weeks ago because it's been as bad as it could be for weeks now. But as they say, markets can stay oversold longer than you can stay solvent. So just because something's oversold doesn't mean it's going to snap back right away. But now, over this 4-week period of this 2 or 3 week period, as we've seen this sideways consolidation after the large move down and the fear capitulation and all that stuff, the market is now primed to spring one way or the other. The Fed has now done what they need to do. They have affected markets. They have affected prices. They have grinded the economy to a halt. They've achieved kind of what they want to achieve quicker than they thought. I think for them, it's smart now to signal dovish, make sure the markets don't go into complete panic mode. We get some relief, and then it's really going to be up to market conditions. If things really were able to improve without the labor market continuing to tighten and prices continuing to rise, I could see them continuing with the dovish language. My suspicion is that we will be in an arc of getting more dovish until August when all of a sudden bad numbers start coming out again. And then the Fed has to get hawkish again into the fall. I have been talking about all year of visiting lows and then going back towards highs and then visiting lows again and then going. This is a market that wants to screw everybody. Cocky bulls, cocky bears. This is a year to chop up everyone. So I still expect a very nice relief rally that could start today. I am positioned like it will, but we don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. The Fed continues their hawkish talk. We see new lows, and that's it. That's all you could do. There are support levels at 3,600 and 3,400 on the S&P that if we went to, would not break the chart still. From a long term, if we zoom out to the secular bull market, the charts would not break there. So it's possible we could go. I'm still positioned like the Fed is going to get more dovish, as I believe Bullard was hinting at that on Friday. We will see. Of course, this is crypto and NFTs we're talking about. How does it all relate? Still think crypto is kind of being driven by macro. I will say, for somebody who watches both charts now very closely on a daily basis, they are not correlated like they were before. It is not automatic NQ goes up, therefore ETH and Bitcoin go up. There is some sort of decoupling happening right now. And I do think by the end of the year, you are going to see these asset classes marching to their own beat again. Now, that doesn't mean directly opposite correlation. It just means that it's not going to be a given that if one is up, the other is up, and if one is down, the other is down. So I think we're already seeing that correlation start to break. The most bullish thing I've been seeing in markets is that the velocity of selling the last 2 weeks has increased, but we've had a hard time really breaching new lows. We had made 38.50 about 4 weeks ago. And then since then, the velocity of selling has increased, but we only had one day we could push underneath. And the next day we sprang back immediately. It was like trying to hold a ball underwater.
Yeah,
So,
I was gonna say there's like, and I don't think that this is just like casual participants buying the dip. You see the rally call on Twitter all the time.
retail's dead. Retail isn't doing
right?
shit all.
But I mean, when they hit these marks, I mean, ETH is bouncing off of 1900 a bunch of times. It does seem like there is big money waiting in the wings, like ready to just grab at that level, like very content with purchasing as much at that level as possible and then waiting for it to come back down and then buying more, right? Because I have seen lots of news about, Bitcoin still moving away from exchanges, ETH still moving away from exchanges, all of that really good stuff that you think the supply is tightening up, and yet we're still not seeing the benefits of that spring up. But again, this isn't the casual user just stepping in to catch it, like hold the line or whatever. This is big money buying it, and we're seeing it with news like A16Z's big $4.5 billion crypto fund, their $500 million NFT gaming fund. We're seeing it with a lot of these big companies in sports and whatnot still getting in. We got some articles that I'm going to pull up with that a little bit later, but it does seem like there's people that are more than happy to buy at these price levels.
And the same thing happens in NFTs, right? Whales go sweep the floor, and then they wait for you to dump again, and then they go sweep the floor. They don't just keep buying. They know you're going to keep dumping and give them low. So they'll sweep 10 or 20, then they let you dump again. Sweep 10. So yes, but I think here's my overarching point. You hear people talk about internals in markets, and whereas for months we have been seeing new lows, in other words, stocks that hit a new year-to-date low or a new 52-week low, we have been seeing that number go up every single week. We got to a point where during the capitulation week, there were 1,500 new lows. Now, even as the velocity in which the volume of selling has increased, last week, we saw 300 new lows. So even as price slightly dipped under what the year lows were and the velocity of selling was higher, there were 1,200 less new issues making 52-week lows. That is what a technician starts to look for reversals. It's really what got me thinking. I have been dancing around the idea of a bottom for a minute, trying to figure out when to stick your neck out there. Look, everyone will caution you against trying to pick tops and bottoms. It's what I like doing. I am out here. I enjoy this. Okay. I enjoy going to war. If you've seen my Twitter stream the last 3 weeks, it's been turned up. This is war. We are here. This is a zero-sum game. Okay. This is not for children. This is the big leagues. You are in the trenches. It's fun. I like doing it. What really convinced me to start sticking my neck out the last week were how the internals were improving. And again, I am not calling for an end to the bear. I am not saying there won't be more pain in the fall, but I am positioned for a very aggressive relief bounce that I think is going to go farther than most people expect. So,
well, this type of volatility is a trader's wet dream, right? Like in a full-on bull market, it's just like you bought stuff and it goes up, and that's great. Or in a full-on bear market, you either went short on things or you're sitting in fiat waiting to deploy it again, and it's just going down. But in this kind of market where we showed the range there is tons of 10-15% swings to capitalize on. And if you are watching closely and you're good at feeling that out and pulling the trigger on trades, this is an incredible opportunity. But if you're not good at it, this is a spot where you can get wrecked too, right?
I have found that because crypto is a smaller market, it feels like there are less tricks than in traditional markets. So, you go just buy bull flags in the stock market, like every computer program ever has been coded to find those things. Like the stock market's very mature and very efficient. Those edges, those obvious, keep it simple, stupid edges are not as prevalent as they are in something like crypto, which is smaller, which has less participants. I think about Luna, and I will tell you right now, that has been one of the best trading vehicles I have ever seen. Bear flags break down almost every time. Bull flags break out almost every time. It responds to every trend line, every downtrend line, every uptrend. It, like you just said, is a trader's wet dream. And, the more people that figure that out, the less it's going to work eventually. I mean, I'm not telling everyone to go out and day trade Luna as a job. I'm just saying that these opportunities have presented themselves a lot in this tight range we've been in for a few weeks, though. Again, today may be the day we break out of this range, and it is not going to be an easy climb up. This market is still going to be ruled by one, volatility, and two, this idea of overhead supply. People who are many people who I would not have expected to turn bear have now turned bear. They now, I guarantee, are looking for relief bounces to sell. They're looking for relief bounces to take risk off. And it's exactly how funds and sophisticated players prey on people, because now people are going to sell every relief bounce and it's just going to go higher and higher and higher. And by the time it gets to 2,800 or 3,000 and people are like, oh shit, maybe that was the bottom. Well, guess what the fuck's going to happen again? Just wait for it. I promise. It's going to play out like a symphony.
Well, there's one more thing that I want to talk about in this market, in the article I have pulled up before we move on to NFTs. And it's this article. We've seen it again. Last week was a big deal. This week again, it's happening. Bitcoin extends record streak of weekly losses to 8. Before this month, the all-time mark was a 6-week span in 2014. Down 8 weeks in a row, Bitcoin for the second straight week has set a record for the most consecutive losing weeks. I was a little bit redundant. My apologies. But is this, in your opinion, as somebody who follows the markets and has played this, does this become like that gambler's fallacy where like, well, it can't be 9, well, it can't be 10? You see that all the time. I mean, it's literally the reason why casinos put the history of the roulette spins up on there, so you can see whether it was black or red, and you can see the numbers. And every once in a while, you see that 8 blacks in a row. Right? And you see people just slamming the red. It can't be 9. The odds of it being 9 in a row are, 1 in 580,000. Like, what are the odds that happen? And the short answer is, well, no, the odds of it happening again are 50-50. It's just the way that it works. Now, if you were to sit here and say, what are the odds that the next 9 spins are going to be all black? Then you're talking about some pretty astronomical odds. But once it's in the past, it doesn't affect it. Is that something that you think about in terms of this?
No, that's what a poker mind would think looking at this, but it's not what people are talking about. When there are sellers, there's only so much that can be sold. Okay?
So you do say the longer that this goes on, the more likely we are to get a bounce.
Oh, of course, yeah. Eventually,
okay,
sellers run it. Oh, yeah. Eventually, sellers run out of supply too. I mean, it happens on both ends. Eventually, buyers run out of liquidity, and eventually, sellers run out of supply. That is why it's always funny to me, like the parlor game that media has to play to attribute reasons to things. Okay, reasons are stupid because every market participant has different financial situations, reasons, obligations, thoughts, dreams. People have a million reasons for buying and selling, okay? But then herd mentality starts to kick in, and people run with herds in either direction and stuff like that. But when we're talking about metrics like this, now I will zoom out a bit and say, I don't believe in any type of historic or cyclical metrics within crypto, okay? I come from traditional markets. Business cycles tend to be 13 years. In crypto, people are talking about 4-year cycles, and this happened in 2017, and this is going to happen. First of all, 2017 was the mass adoption curve. That was not different environment. Oh my God. That was not a typical bull market, though. But it wasn't even a typical bull market or bear market. It was just the mass adoption of a new technology. Boom, that happens. Okay, now you have this dead
and
period.
it kind of got its first like meme cycle too, right? Like it was that first time when everyone was like, oh, Bitcoin, what is Bitcoin? And keep in mind that Ethereum at the time was an altcoin. It was a shit coin, which I don't think it is now, but it was people's first exposure to Bitcoin, like on a real scale. It was people's first like seeing it everywhere. It was in meme feeds. It was all over your Instagram. You know, there were people that were getting into it. That's all they wanted to talk about with everybody that hadn't got into it. Boom, 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 boom. It was just in your face. Now we're in that cycle. Everyone's aware of Bitcoin. Then there's people like, oh, Bitcoin's back. Like I thought that thing was dead. It's kind of re-solidifying it, but it was a completely different time. It was like the first time everybody logged into the internet for the first, you know, like it was a.
When do you think America Online was incorporated?
Oh God, America Online, 93.
Yeah. 1985.
No shit.
So I think this surprises a lot of people, and it's a good way to understand what's going on here. Your average person had no awareness of America Online until 94, 95, 96. Became the biggest thing in the fucking world. And in the 80s, in the late 80s, okay, and even the early 80s, computers, microprocessors, they were in a mass adoption phase. It was a bull market, but it was very hard to judge the next cycle based on it, all right? And this is the same thing, I think, right now in crypto. So I don't like taking, like, whatever happened in the last cycle, applying it to this one. And I'm not even saying that shit isn't going to tank and be dead for 2 years. If that happens, I don't think it has anything to do with historic cycles or or whatever people want to claim. I just think that there's so many things that play into that. That's not what it was. You would just be lucky if those two facts happen to line up. But when people look at that, you are kind of measuring. You know, you take something like volume profile, which is the most valuable tool in all of markets. And when people talking about reading the tape and watching flow, that's what they're doing. They're creating volume profiles in your head so you know where at what price the most of something was traded. That's very valuable information when you start to look at it over time. So the type of flow that you get from 8 weeks, I promise we're running out of sellers. I promise that, you know, it's hard to predict exactly when the turn happens. I think there's a pretty good chance today, but we're running out of sellers. And that's what something like the 8 weeks of selling thing indicates, though both sides will have a take on it because they'll look at the last time it happened and say we had this massive bear. Like, you're seeing competing data points all day. And that should be your largest takeaway, is that any single data point and any single metric is fugazi. It's garbage. It means nothing, okay? And you'll have bears that gather a group of metrics and say, this is why everything's going to die and go into a 3-year bear market. And you'll have bulls grab a ton of metrics and say, this is why everything's going to reverse and go, it's all bullshit. You have to figure out over time what works in your gut, based on flow, based on what you watch. And then you'll know which metrics to listen to.
Yeah, for sure. Let's move on a little bit. We'll slowly inch towards NFTs, but I pulled this up because this is actually something that you say about NFTs a lot, and I do think that it is true and applicable to crypto, and that is, of course, crypto has to become invisible to reach mainstream, says MasterCard exec. Crypto needs to become an invisible part of the financial system to enable mass adoption, a MasterCard executive recently explained. This was at a conference. He basically said, I keep saying that, and I sound like a broken record, but it has to disappear into the background for a user who doesn't care. Honestly, my mom doesn't care if it's centralized finance or DeFi. You say this about NFTs all the time too. Like we made it. You know that NFTs are a mainstream adopted technology. When we stop referring to them as NFTs and just understand that they're digital digital assets that are ownership is Oh, wow. You have custody over the ownership of it, is what I'm trying to say. I do think the exact same logic applies to crypto. Most people don't care about decentralization. Most people don't want to go deep into the technology. They just want to use something that they log into and works. That was one of the big watershed moments for the internet, was that you stopped logging into the internet. Oh, I'm going to go online to do this. And now the internet is just this invisible layer that basically is a part of every second of our life. Almost, you carry your phone around, you jump onto social media, Twitter, like you're connected to the internet all the time. It's not like a thing anymore. I do believe that crypto and NFTs are working their way towards that, but that is going to be the big moment. I know you've said that, and this MasterCard executive agrees with you.
The greatest thought leaders in the space are all thinking this way. Blau had a similar statement the other day regarding his music company. Is it Royal that he runs? I forget which one Blau is part of.
I think he's part of Royal,
we don't use the word NFT in any of our copy. All right. It is not, we don't think of it that way. NFTs are technology that back digital provenance. It's as simple as that. And the largest, most successful entities are going to be the ones that position and market that way. And I think it's the same in gaming. And gaming, man, you just feel it right now. Like, you feel rumblings. It is going to be a gaming summer, and NFTs and on-chain gaming and crypto. This is the next major cycle coming, and you just feel it. You see A16 with the big fund, and they even mention gaming again in this new fund that we heard the headline about this morning. You see, I mean, you just look at the Kaiju King's floor is amazing to me. You're talking about one of the worst bull markets out there, and it is just Teflon. And guess who swept Kaiju Kings yesterday, my friend?
Who? I didn't actually hear this.
Our homie Seed Phrase. He is out and bullish on P2E, and he even made a tweet a few hours later saying, if you know a project that is P2E with devs that are working every day and have cool NFTs, comment below. I am in. And I am telling you, okay, the greatest thought leaders in our space are moving into, they will act bearish until they're bullish, okay? And there is major positioning going on right now in these type of things. So I think all of these technologies, the successful ones, they're going to be losing the term NFT. It's just going to be something in the background. Immutable X, the ability for these games to run. And I even think the industry is moving too far away from the idea of earn. Okay, earn is good. Okay, I think that it's going to hook a lot of people into playing games that weren't playing games before.
The phrase earn never bothered me. It was the phrase to that bothered me. Play to earn. You have to play to earn.
Maybe, but I am telling you right now, step in, okay, and which is the hottest thing in crypto right now. It is hard to deny that step in is that thing that you know is going to 10x when the cycle comes back, just because there's so many normies that are getting into it. And that is on the Solana blockchain, okay, of all things. But this step-in is taking the world by storm. If you don't know what this is, you buy a sneaker NFT. You have this NFT. You go out and you walk. As you walk, you earn. Okay, people are making $400 to $500 a day walking around their town.
What the fuck am I doing? I'm like walking like 12 kilometers a day and not using this? Fuck.
GST token. Go right now. You got to go buy some Solana, my friend, and you're going to get this GST, the token, step in. It's huge. And they have a brilliant retention system because the sneakers wear out, just like real sneakers. So you just can't use the same NFT to step. You have to repair your sneaker. So that same token that you could just be taking and cashing out, you have to use to repair your sneakers, upgrade your sneakers. You can only walk so many miles a day with the lower tier of sneakers. So you want to invest your GST to get the higher tier of sneakers. It's a brilliant Ponzi, okay? It is a Ponzi, but this is what you have to, things should be Ponzi's. And that is what market, you understand, step-in is becoming big right now because the average person is hearing, I can make $200 a day by walking. That is what's hooking people, okay? So I don't want us to move so far away from the marketing of you can make $200 a day playing Minecraft. We got to make that real. We have to make that real and sustainable. And I think that's the only question.
I just think the expectations have to be adjusted a little bit.
No, not at all. Not at all. This is ridiculous. Okay. $200 that we have to format and figure out how we can sell the $200 a day. Now, $50 isn't going to fucking do it, except in the third world. You got to sell the $200 a day narrative. And I do believe it's possible. There is a way to do it. And it's not creating value out of thin air. It is creating something that's both fun and profitable. It's just balance. It's just balance. Okay. And now,
here's what I would be interested if you could put some kind of metric to it. I would love to see, and this is probably doable, the amount of hours that people have played cumulatively of World of Warcraft versus the amount of money that that game has brought in recurring revenue, right? And see what the value of an hour is to them, right? Because that we're talking about the most profitable massively multiplayer online game of all time with a huge user base. I would think that somewhere in there that would be the upper echelon of like what you could earn per hour, right? Like you're just shifting the dynamics of where the money is going rather than to the company. You're repositioning it back to the people. Does that make sense? Is that a flawed, faulty logic? I'm here for either way.
No. It does. And this is the crux of that issue, is that crypto largely as an industry is trying to thread a ridiculous fucking needle. And that needle is we are securities that aren't securities. The whole reason P2E has not worked yet is because we're threading needles of invisible regulation that doesn't even fucking exist. That's number one. Okay. It's just the threat of regulation that people are scared about, but we need to fucking lean. Okay. Crypto is going to be a $50 trillion industry by 2029, but the majority of those trillions is not going to be in anything that exists today. Anything that exists today. And why? Because 99.999% of crypto, NFTs, and games are trying to pretend they are not securities to avoid regulation and allow people to trade freely. As we know, I love free markets. Hell, it's all I want in the world. At the same time, what is breaking P2E is trying to do this thing without it being the thing. Okay, this is the main issue here. If you had complete free, if there was no regulation, tax law, SEC, anything to worry about, you would just format these fucking things like they actually were. Play to earn. You could have a million different income streams, whether it's advertising through the gate, whatever. The difference is you're all part owners in a fucking company. So P2E is going to work, okay, as everything develops and matures and all that good stuff. But you have two factors taking it down right now. Invisible boogeyman of regulation that isn't real and is causing people to do these weird tricks and formats. And the other thing is who is here right now. The people who are here want to make money. None of them are playing these games for, I don't care what kind of bullshit premise they want to sell you. No one is playing these games for fun right now. Don't fight that. Don't say, oh, you fucking farmers, you should be playing for fun. No, lean into that. Just lean into it. Make the best Ponzi you can so that it can get to a point where all of a sudden it's not a Ponzi anymore. Guess what? That's going to happen. That's going to happen many times. You should try to juice it early.
I do always chuckle a little bit when these come up with these, like, you know, anti-farming, anti-flipper, like, you can't not acknowledge the fact that this is the market that we're in and that people are going to do that anyway. Like, people do it with sneakers, you know, people do it with trading cards. It's not, there doesn't have to be this like holier than thou moral structure that everybody has to abide by. Do you remember that one project that did the minimum selling price agreement? If you buy this and you list it for less than 2 ETH, you're permanently banned for our community.
Simpler
and
times back then, my friend.
Fuck, I know, really, right? But it is just it is laughable to just, you know, people shouldn't should sell shame. They shouldn't be shaming them for farming. They shouldn't act like these things aren't real. And it's like when you go to work and a boss tells you like, oh, the money should just be secondary. Like you should be here because you love it and you're trying to further the company. Like, no, sometimes people just go to fucking work to make money.
Remember the NFT DAOs whose premise were we're gonna buy cool cats at 15 ETH?
Down bad.
Woo!
Down.
Oh
bad.
no, they're not, because they didn't even get a chance to do it. But what a premise! Golf claps all around. Kong. Remember, it was so hot. People wanted to buy Kongs and cool cats.
So hot.
Kongs at 200 ETH and cool cats at 15. Bravo. Just so everyone knows, Genesis Kongs are selling at 20 ETH right now.
Is that how low they are now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Genesis Kongs are 20, and you can go buy a baby Kong for, I think, 1.9. I will tell you right now, coming out of the next fucking cycle, punks and Kongs. Not that I particularly like. In fact, I like punks. I don't love them. I don't like Kongs. I'm not a fan of them. I don't yearn to have one in my wallet. As a pure financial flip, Kongs and punks. And you know why? Because no one's fucking talking about them. Everyone's calling them dead. And FMC. Oh, something's dead? I'll buy that.
There you go. I didn't know that it had gone down that low. Interesting. I saw this pop up last week and I didn't. Oh, sorry. Finish your thought.
Don't park any money there that can't sit there for 4 months. Okay, go ahead. Next.
Nice. Good disclaimer. I saw this hack or whatever, a Bored Ape, a couple mutants and doodles go down. I just thought, oh, just another day. I didn't realize that it was. Well, I mean,
just another day in the Bored Apes Discord.
Well, really, I didn't realize that it was Seth Green and that Seth Green was making a show based on his Bored Ape. And now there's the questions of, can he still make this show if he doesn't own the Bored Ape? The answer seems to be no, not really. So he's been trying to get a hold of this guy, be like, I need the ape back. Obviously, that guy is probably not an idiot. He did buy it from the scammer. It doesn't look like it wasn't the scammer now holding it. It was purchased. But the guy knows and has all the leverage in the world.
Of course. I won 5 points on the back end of that show.
Yeah, exactly. White Horse Tavern was a show that Seth Green was planning on making. There was a trailer out for it. But I just caught this article just before we were starting the show.
Could there be a better story at the bottom of the bear market than this? Dumb. Think about how middle America and people who hate NFTs are reading this headline. Dumb Hollywood lib loses JPEG. He was gonna make show. This is the Schadenfreude America has been waiting for. This is exactly what crypto haters are literally coming in their pants with this story. This is it. He had a big TV show. Oh, NFTs are going to be legitimate. Stolen from his wallet, and now he has to beg for it back. Yeah. Amazing. Just, Bored Apes. You guys never.
Well, here's the other thing. Do you know how he lost it?
No, I neglected to. I didn't.
He went to a fraud. I'm not laughing at it, but it just goes to show that not these celebrities are pretty normal people too, and they are. It's not like they all just have somebody doing this on their behalf. He thought he was minting the Gutter Cat clones and went to a phishing link that he connected to, and boom, gone. So nobody is safe from stuff like that. But man,
I disagree. I really disagree.
Well,
okay,
no, you are right. You are right. You are right.
I am telling people, people hear me say this and then they go about their life and it's like, I'm not going to click 99.9999% of link. I am not even kidding. I will not click links from my mother. I will not click links from R2DJ. I don't care what it is. I will go search whatever it is and find the links 100%. Myself. Doesn't matter. That time is worth more to me. Nothing. This is your choice. You must sign your fucking wallet before that money leaves. You have to do it. There is no program that will sign it for you. I suppose if your entire computer was taken over in some whatever. I mean, I know there's still, in this type of thing that he did, okay, you have no excuse for clicking a phishing link. Just never click a link. Every project that somebody recommends to me, I go to Twitter, I go to their Twitter profile, and I click the link in the profile. That's it. That's the only link I will ever click. The official account in the profile. That's the only time.
No,
just,
I mean, you're
saying,
absolutely
you really
right. And I do the same thing too.
You have to.
Oh my God. Like for the last couple of months, so many, we want to collab with Star Wolves. Oh yeah, shoot me a DM. They send me a link.
Oh my God, I know. That was the scariest part. Like,
well, we didn't have admin control in the Discord too, so there was at least a layer there, but it was still like,
well, pre-mint. I mean, every time I have to do the 2-factor authentication on pre-mint for Discord, or I get scared. I'm like, fuck, I go back, I double check, I look, I make sure, is it pre-mint or pre-mind? Is it some weird, like I'm checking each letter, like it's scary, right? Especially if you have Discord permissions and that you don't want people to get scared. I've made it just such a strict rule that even before I would say that last year and I would do it 99% of the time, but if it was someone you really trust, you'd still click the link. I don't do that anymore. Just because who knows if they had it's not that they're trying to scam you, they may have gotten the wrong thing. You just never know.
Well, even we had an instance where like a friend of ours was hacked too, and they were sending links in the DM, right? And unfortunately,
you just never know.
It was everyone was made aware before it got there, but that would have been somebody that I trusted. But again, you just don't click the links from anybody, and if it's a blanket rule, and it's so funny. People go, "Oh, being too paranoid." It was like that's great until you lose 5 figures, 6 figures of NFTs and crypto, and then you go, "Oh, I wish I'd been more paranoid." Well, you can choose to start off, and I'm not saying like you have to have a team of security that's undercover following you around everywhere that you go and whatnot. But I mean, a little bit of paranoia.
The easiest thing
when you can't get it back. My credit card, if it gets hacked, if I put my credit card into a site, it gets sold somewhere, and I find out that somebody's been using it for casino gambling in Malta, which actually did happen to me. You call them up and you say, "Hey, this isn't me," and they go, "Okay, no problem." Click, boom, done. You move on with your life. It doesn't happen in crypto. You don't get it back.
Remember,
Green is not getting this ape back unless he pays 5 times what it's worth.
The easiest thing you could do is the most important thing you could do. Remember, hardware wallet, Mac, all those things, you can still be socially engineered. It does not protect you from a social engineering attack. Your most vulnerable thing is clicking links and signing your wallet. That is your last line of defense. So all that other stuff is important, but nothing is as important as your last line of defense, which is which is the simplest thing you could do is change your online behavior.
I'm also just going to say this too. If you haven't called your cell phone provider, you call them and you tell them to put a note on your on your account that under no circumstances are they to send out a SIM card through phone. Like you actually have to be in a store to go get a SIM card replacement, because even if you use 2FA on like your accounts and stuff like that, SIM swaps are not always completely or can happen. So that would be the one thing that I would say is like a quick tops 5-minute phone call. But I've seen a lot of people lose stuff to SIM swaps too, because your local Verizon employee doesn't care. They don't care. So anyways, on that note, some more bullish news. We saw it with Gucci, French luxury brand Balenciaga to accept Bitcoin, Ethereum as payment. I don't know how much meat there is to chew on this bone, except for the fact, and I'm going to pull up this article, think sports will back away from crypto and NFTs because of the crash. Think again. At a gathering this week, the most powerful people in the sports business attendees were more crypto curious than ever. These are just 2 articles, again, to kind of go back to the macro situation of crypto, NFTs. Some of the wealthiest people in the world, some of the biggest investors in the world are still out there looking to build, looking to acquire, looking to purchase, looking to participate in stuff like that. If crypto dead, NFTs dead, these articles are telling a different story right now. But of course, the NBA incredibly bullish on or incredibly accepting of crypto and NFTs, the players especially. This is going to kind of start to transcend across all sports. There's lots of money waiting in the wings to do advertisements on the jerseys and the stadiums. We've seen a bunch of stadiums being named after FTX, Crypto.com, Coinbase, et cetera, et cetera. This is still happening. And despite the fact that all of the fans are out there saying like, oh my God, they should be ashamed of themselves, blah, 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 they're still doing it. And, just ask yourself why, right? That's my biggest take on it.
We're also going to talk about A16 here in a little bit. And I think
just throw it into this conversation. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. My big takeaway from these is not that we've bottomed, because again, I think it's going to be a volatile year. Even if we bottom today and, rip 800 points to the upside, whatever, I still think it's going to be a very volatile year. But anytime, and this happened in 2009 in traditional markets, it's happening now in crypto. Anytime you get these 50, 60% crashes, everybody questions, is it over? And I mean over, like goes to zero and never comes back, over. That is something, I don't care how convicted you are in an idea, you have your little lizard evolutionary side of your brain, the fight or flight side, saying, oh shit, it may go to zero, run. This is what abates that, okay? This should assuage fears that we're going to zero. Yes, more pain could be ahead, volatile year, maybe the lows
None
aren't,
of this
and all
is
that.
Me saying that, like, yeah, we're at the bottom, but yeah, keep going.
But that's it. This is when you see funds deploying massive, and all you hear around town is this is a liquidity crisis. There's no liquidity. Liquidity is drying up over here. People are pulling money from this. But A16 announces new $4.5 billion fund this morning. If you guys think this is a liquidity crisis, you were not here in 2009. We came so close to the end of Western society in 2009. Your average person has no clue. The music almost stopped forever. And that was a liquidity crisis. We have no systemic liquidity crisis. There is a ton of fucking liquidity out there sloshing around. People are just scared and pulling it back. And the moment they get some sort of at least mental relief, and remember, this has a lot to do with the news. Why do you think and feel the way you do right now? It's largely because of Twitter. You're reading Twitter and doom scrolling on Twitter. You're seeing prices go down every day. This is what's input. Right, exactly. And eventually that feedback loop turns positive, right? And all that stuff happens. So when you see these type of funds out there raising this money, it's pretty obvious that this isn't a liquidity crisis. This is a factor of incredible amounts of froth in the tech sector spilling over into a tightening cycle. It happened to be at the same, that was always going to happen. Interest rates go up, you are always going to see tech get destroyed and the knock-on reverberating effects that caused. That's what we're dealing with right now. Crypto's not going to zero. This isn't a liquidity crisis, and you're going to see capital deployed. Here's the thing I will say right now. Look around at your bags. Look at all the altcoins you own. Look at all the NFTs you own, and pretend you were sitting in USDC right now, and I told you the bull market is going to start again tomorrow. Would you buy all the bags you have in your wallet right now? Would you buy them where they are right now in your wallet? If the answer is no to that, you're going to sell everything on the next major bounce and then stay liquid and reassess, because the next SHIB, the next Safe Moon, the next whatever the fuck is coming in the next cycle, it's not here yet. And you want to be liquid to take advantage of that. Crypto is about the new and the shiny. We just ended the Ponzi meta, the Ponzi cycle, okay? I think the new stuff that starts to come out over the next few years is much more legitimate, is much more based on traditional securities than what we have had. So be ready for the next cycle and understand the things that will have the greatest gains will be new. It will not be the stuff you hold. And that doesn't mean ETH or Doge or Bitcoin won't have 1,000% cycles and all that type of stuff. But when you look at all your alts, okay, and I just talked about what is a rug, right? There are things that start off as rugs okay, that stay rugs. There are things that start off as rugs and become legitimate. And then there are things with all the best intentions that start off legitimate and then become rugs for one reason or the other, whether it's internal, whether the macro fucks them and removes all the TVL and funding that they had, whatever it is, just understand that it is the new that is going to be what's hot on the next cycle, and you want to be ready for that. So assess. I hold bags, right? I did that this morning. I looked at my bags. I actually like what. If I knew the bull market was coming tomorrow, I would buy what I have. That's what I've been doing over the last few weeks, getting ready for that.
Or if you had liquidity, would you buy more of it right now?
And that's the point. That's just do that exercise with yourself. If the answer is no, I'm not telling you to go panic sell everything today.
No.
I'm saying if we do get this large relief bounce over the next month or two, I would start lightening up on the bags that you felt that way about now. Do not get fooled by the bounce they're about to have, because everything's about to bounce. If we get this relief, all the junk, all the shit, Luna will probably everything. All the junk is going to bounce. That's your chance to get rid of the stuff you wouldn't buy today and wait for the stuff that's new and shiny, because that's what's really going to pop. Crypto rules. That's a no for me, but I'm pretty sure R2 is going to sign up for Solana after the show because he walks a lot now and he's just leaving money on the table.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, I mean,
Maybe.
$400 or $500, like, you know, it's a whole thing. And by the time I buy the NFT and log into it, it's going to crash. I'm the exit liquidity. That's got to be what it is.
That could be it. No, I don't know. Solana, there seems to be a couple of things doing well on it. I'll give it that. Like, I don't know what Trip and Ape Tribe is, but that had a lot of volume. It's been going. Yeah. I mean, I look at this and like, why am I supposed to be excited about a derivative of Bored Apes on Solana, right?
Because there's no gas. And I'm not even being cheeky. It's like these type of things make a lot more sense on a gasless network. And if you look at what's happening in ETH right now, that's where the market is. This is where the appetite is. This is what people want to play around with. And, you know, I would say the greatest thing that's ever happened to Sol was obviously the OpenSea integration, because that's why everyone's playing them, especially all my ETH maxers who are playing them now. It's because it's easy. It's right there on OpenSea. Yeah. You're not doing, I got to do a new wallet and a new network and a new.
Well, you still have to do a new wallet, but yeah.
You still have to do a new wallet, but you don't have to go to Magic Eden. I would say, Magic Eden. I feel bad for that. They tried to like troll OpenSea on one of their posts, and like I guess they trolled them effectively. But when you just see, like, I think OpenSea's eating their lunch right now. It's just it shows how powerful OpenSea is. As that. You know, I think they are making Solana, right? It's the only reason Solana's there. And I am still not ready to say Solana's going to, Solana summer is what's, I can't see, You know what I like? There's two things I like that I've been trying to figure out how to invest in. That would be the Stargate Atlas, which is on Solana, but it's a very large gaming something. And then, what was the other fucking thing on Solana? Now I can't remember.
I don't know. You mentioned.
Oh no, not Solana. A Mutable X. I don't even know what the fuck that thing is, but I know therethere's something there. I don't know what it is, but I'd invest in it if I don't think they have a token though. There's no way to like invest in it unless you're a VC.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't know. Solana. Yeah, maybe. Look. If I saw a project that I was really excited about, and I'm not saying that it's going to be a cook or not. Like, OK Bears obviously did really well for people, no doubt about it. I'm not talking shit about them or whatever. But if I'm looking at that pre-mint and I'm seeing it, it's not exciting me. So I'm just not going to be there for it. And if I missed an opportunity, that's fine. But I'm not saying that I would never participate in something on Solana simply because it's on Solana. But it would have to be something that would entice me to go through the friction of creating a new wallet. And like honestly, I find creating new wallets and stuff stressful. Like you got to make sure you keep everything proper. Am I on the site? Blah 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 blah.
I did Tezos, as we all know, which I used to call Tezos, but I've been corrected. So Tezos, you need a new wallet. Mine is on, what the fuck's it called? Not KuCoin. It's let's see, Kukai. That is where you have the Tezos wallet. I love the stuff on Tezos. A lot of great stuff there. So I'm not averse to alt chains. I just think Solana is a VC cash grab, and the quality of NFT projects on that bear it out. That said, could someone confirm if Sam was one of the co-creators of Solana?
I didn't see anything about that when I was looking at it. He had a big position in it, or has a big position in it.
Someone in the audience, can someone tell me, is Sam SBF one of the co-creators of Solana?
So, yeah, Sam Bankman-Fried from.
I don't want someone who I love so much to have created something I hate so much. I'm gonna have internal conflict.
I did do a little like brief Google searching of it. I did not see him anywhere as like a co-founder or whatnot. Okay, I'm sure he was in on like seed rounds of buying the coin.
Yeah, that's fine. Everyone likes money. Oh, thank God.
Yeah. Oh. No. So
the patron saint of crypto remains unblemished.
Well, I had a bunch of stuff pulled up, but I think we could actually just save it for tomorrow if we get into NFTs, because this was all a really good discussion just about all of that stuff. But Chimpers, we mentioned last week on the show, dropped. That thing's been crushing it, like you said.
I'll tell you, man. I'll tell you. And I know there's something there. I am not bearish. I am not fudding your project. I was majorly disappointed in the art. Like, I feel like I had seen some previews and I was like, oh, that's good pics. I don't know, man. I don't know. My personal opinion that has no bearing on your bags was disappointed in this art. That's all.
60 this sold for. Well, I guess that makes sense. It was up to
no, there were big. Look, I thought this was going to be a cook. It was very popular. It was a cook. It's holding a floor. All that beautiful stuff. I thought the art missed for me. I don't know.
Well, speaking of a project where the art was typically secondary to what it was, we also had Project Gojira get delisted from OpenSea. This is the.
They look like fucking Godzillas. Is it possible that they couldn't have been DCMA'd, right?
Well, there was a fake letter going around that they seem to have been debunked from something about like Ministry of Internal Affairs and Communications from Japan.
I love it.
DMCA. And people were like, "Oh wow, a country crushed them," and like, no, this was not part of it.
No, I mean, random people.
Why I don't know.
Random people can write OpenSea letters and get shit taken down. If the country of Japan writes, they're not even going to read past the first line. They're going to take it down and ask questions later. That's
so I think that there's still some. There's still belief that it's going to get relisted. I'm not really completely sure what actually happened or what went down there. So if anyone has some more insight other than Japan taking it down, let us know.
Yeah, I don't know anything. I don't know anything material about this Gojira project. It reminds me of Neo Tokyo. The people that are in it have some sort of camaraderie. They've all gotten rich together. It's the best alpha in the world. I mean, I don't know, man. There's a lot of groups like this, and it holds very high floors, not because it sees a ton of volume there, but because the people inside there consider it very valuable and don't sell. I don't know much about Gojira beyond that. I just remember it was a story on the show last year when it was like, do you see this art selling?
Yeah. Can you
everyone was shocked or whatever, but I don't know how many of us knew it. We didn't know it was an alpha room back then, and they have some sort of cult leaders there. You know, it's like Habibi's or fucking Neo Tokyo or any of these that have like one guy that everybody elevates at the top because he got a bunch of calls right in the bull market, and you know, it's the same fucking story.
Oh, it's good. I'm not sure why it got delisted though. I guess we'll We'll figure it out eventually and report back. VCon was going on. Blame VCon for the lack of volume. All the NFT DJs were there, I guess. I don't know. Looked like a time though. People are having fun.
I was going to do a competing conference next year called PCon. The P's versus the V's.
The P.
And then eventually we would
Pecan pie.
We'd eventually invade his conference, and the P's would go right into the V's. Just all the. That's what would happen. No, nice. I found this. It was interesting because so many people ranked on Gary V. Like, why would you hold a conference in Minnesota? Nobody's gonna show up. Like, blah blah blah. Well, now I understand this guy is playing 4D chess while the rest of us are just playing checkers here, because he knew that this violent bear market was coming. And had he held it in New York or LA, nobody would have showed up anyway. People couldn't afford the Uber over at this point. Yet you hold it in Minnesota, only the most important people can still afford to show up. The fact that you didn't fill the stadium doesn't mean anything because it's the worst bear market of all time. And all that happened was great networking and great conversations because the normal riffraff couldn't even afford to go. So it was just a bunch of hobnobbing. We're going, Gary V, fucking genius, amazing. VCon looked great. In fact, we saw a live performance of Crypto Boy, the smash hit TikTok song that is taking or has taken the entire crypto world by storm. The original creator was there. Unfortunately, her backups, the three people who collaborated with her, were not. It still seemed to be a performance.
We got a DMCA takedown on YouTube for playing that too, by the way.
Oh yeah, nice.
Yeah, I didn't think that was going to happen.
Yeah, she is probably going to be at NFT NYC too. I'm sure the apes are Ape Fest, Pier 17, aka the South Street Seaport, is where Ape Fest will be during NFT NYC. Be there or be not an ape holder.
Yeah, Drip Cult confirming it was that. I didn't think that. She must be signed or something like that. Must actually be.
Oh yeah, now.
Now, yeah, because I didn't think that playing a random TikTok collaboration was gonna get that.
If she doesn't fucking turn that into Gangnam Style and 1 billion views on YouTube, she's fumbled the bag. Yeah. Whoopa, Gangnam Style.
There we go. Let's play that. We'll get that taken down too. All right, my dude. Anything else you want to talk about before we wrap this bad boy up?
No.
No. Oh, all good. All good. Feeling good. Mm-hmm. What do you got going on today?
The Fed.
Oh yeah, we're watching that. I'll have to check back in for you. Oh, wait. Don't you have Squeeze 100 today?
We have the morning squeeze at noon.
Ow.
110. We have the morning squeeze 110 today at noon. We are going to have guests on. And then the Orcs community space, the new bi-weekly Orc community space, AMA, with the entire Orc team live tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern. Be there or be not an Orc holder.
Oh, you guys are moving it to bi-weekly now? That makes sense.
We're moving. The reason is we essentially, because it was weekly, it was very hard to get the whole team on. Because of their schedules, and a lot of the space was questions and AMAs and stuff. And look, we know a lot about Orcs. We're close to the team, and beef is up there. But really, this is Poof's project. This is John's. It's those guys, the three core team members who started it, that should be on the space every week. And schedules just didn't allow it. So to both make the spaces better, because now we got the main men there who can answer any question anyone has. We thought that bi-weekly was going to be it. So that's going to be the first one today. I think you guys are going to love it. Yeah.
Man, might tune in. I've been trying to do that.
I won't even say the collection that you asked me if you should buy earlier to go buy some fucking Orcs now. Like literally, it's your chance to get into Orcs at the Lowe's. That's what they were. No, he doesn't want to. I saw the nod. I could always tell.
No, you're right. No,
go get some allies and
because
some
this
Orcs.
is I've said it that I've coped with not being able to get into orcs, but an opportunity like this comes up and I don't take it, and I can't fucking
Allies
say it
are
anymore.
under 0.2, my friend. You can get into orcs for like, you can get 5 allies for an ETH, and you'd be playing the game pretty well. So
yeah,
that
is a good point. That is a good point.
You'll be hooked after our dungeon crawl demonstration later this week in the Star Wolves Discord.
Next week, next week.
Next week, sorry. Yeah, next week.
That'll Tuesday. Be fun, though. All right, man. Well, let's wrap this show up. We appreciate it. Sorry for the internet difficulties yesterday. It was like working, but the upload speed was atrocious. So it would have been pretty vicious. If you tuned in late today, of course, this is always recorded. Pretty lengthy discussion about the markets again. The Fed minutes coming out today and just kind of where things are going. But that is the conversation that's dominating everything right now, where we're sitting in the macro and where we can go either up or down. Who knows? Free market is bullish that today is going to be a good day, though, and I tend to listen to him when it comes to that stuff. We talked about Seth Green getting his Bored Ape stolen. And the show that is based around that, whether or not he could actually make that. Andreessen Horowitz with the $4.5 billion crypto fund. If you think things are looking down, just remember that some of the smartest people in the room are gathering capital to deploy. We talked about the OpenSea volume. We talked about a little bit about Gajira getting delisted from OpenSea. Chimpers was mentioned. We'll go into a little bit more depth about that stuff. But overall, great show. Always appreciate the insight, free market, and always a pleasure being up here with you again. For those of you that are listening, we will be back on stage tomorrow, 9:30, the usual time for Thursday, episode 129. Free market. Get us out of here.
Good luck at the tables, DGen.